Okay.
Not on there yet.
All right. So if we're on YouTube, then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So, welcome to Real Estate 101. Hey, Steve Zavisa.
How you doing?
Couldn't possibly be better, man.
Good.
How about yourself?
Good. I'm doing real well.
Good. It's Real Estate 101, as you well know. Do you have anything that you'd like for us to highlight for you? Any little interesting things, little listings, subdivisions, anything like that that you want to have us give you a little plug for? You're always out, train, promote, sell, man. You're always on there.
That's all I do.
So if somebody's out there right now, they're watching Real Estate 101, they're like, you know what? I see Steve. He takes off the glasses. He's got the cool look. He's got the subdivisions going. Where are you sending them today?
Today, to Creeks Bend.
Creeks Bend subdivision. Okay.
$99.
All right.
In there.
All right. Where is Creeks Bend subdivision?
It is on the north side of town, right? You pass. It's in the Walter Hill area, between Walter Hill and the Lebanon, Wilson County line.
Is that out 231?
Direct north. Yep.
So if you're headed out past the VA's on your right. You just keep on going ways, and
It's maybe 8 minutes. Maybe 8 minutes down that road.
Gotcha.
On the left.
All right, very good. Okay, so Creeks Bend subdivision, go check it out. Give Steve Zavisa a call. What's your number, Steve?
615-456-9367.
There you go.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
you're very welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Okay, so today we're going to get into some of the ways that you can pay the least amount available for a mortgage payment. So there are some temporary things that you can do. There are some more longer term fixed things that you can do. But there's a couple of different things that we're going to talk about today that are designed to give you some ideas and some tools to be able to pay the least amount that you can for your mortgage. Everybody is feeling a little bit of the pain of these interest rates having elevated a little bit. And it's not just first-time home buyers. We see it a lot with first-time home buyers because they're just coming into the market, but it's something that sellers that need to move are also wrestling with. So my name is Shannon Wheeler. I am the president of Premier Mortgage Group. My NMLS number, hey Hayden, how's it going?
Good.
My NMLS number is 829177, and I am joined by a very special guest, one of our newest member to the team, Carl Williams.
Great to be here.
Carl Williams. Carl the Truth Williams. That's it. So, Carl, tell the greater world out there about yourself. What got you into the mortgage business? Your NMLS number. Can't forget that for compliance purposes. But take it away, Carl. Tell everybody.
So my
about yourself.
NMLS number is 2406443, and it's been a great time joining Shannon here, helping people get into homes. And I spent a lot of years in financial advising, 401k administration, and also in full-time pastoral ministry. And I'm really excited about being able to help serve people and get them into homes. I know it's a big decision. It's a huge financial decision to make as well. So being able to walk with people through that is really exciting for me, and I'm glad to be part of the team.
Yep, glad that you're here. Okay, well, let's get right into it. So, as Carl mentioned, he's got a background in financial planning, financial matters. He's been helping families figure out ways to get the most out of their money and advance their agendas and move the ball down the field in all sorts of ways for a long time. So, a little bit newer to this mortgage market that we're dealing with, but not new to helping families. So, don't hesitate to give Carl a call if you have any questions about that stuff. Okay, so a couple things. I want to talk about really two sort of big buckets of people today, Carl. Those two buckets of people are going to be first-time home buyers. And when I say first-time home buyers, if you're out there and you've owned a home sometime in the past, the classic definition right now of a first-time home buyer, or the classic definition is never bought a home before, right? Obviously, first-time home buyer. But the definition has morphed a little bit over the most recent years to really indicate someone who's not purchased a home within the last 3 years. So if you're out there and you're a first-time home buyer, this sort of applies to you, but it basically just means somebody kind of re-entering the house market that doesn't have a house to sell currently. So Under
that
that,
doesn't have a house.
that doesn't have a house to sell currently.
Interesting. So you
Yeah.
have to be renting or living with a parent or something.
Well, for this part of the show, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
And I fell into that bucket myself. So I went into owning a home, lived in a parsonage for X amount of years, called Shannon to get help getting a mortgage, and he said, "Oh, you're gonna be a first-time home buyer," and I was like, "Nope, I've owned a home before." And he's like, "No, you actually fall into the definition of first-time home buyer."
Yeah.
So is a confusing thing to do.
Yep, and I think you were actually eligible for the Fannie Mae Home Ready program, which is for first-time home buyers. But it's just, and actually now you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for that. But yeah, great point. So if you've sold a home in the past and now you're looking to enter into the housing market and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I take a little bit of the sting out of what is a temporary elevated rate situation and pay the least that I can in interest, but also find what I'm looking for. So one of the ways that people can do that is with an adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM or an ARM. Now, Carl, before you got into the mortgage business, had you ever heard of ARMs or adjustable rate mortgages?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I have. Never used them personally, but knew they were out there. In fact, right around that 2008 time frame when a lot of the mortgage world was using those, I was going to refinance a home and had the guy he said, "Hey, I can do this and have the lowest payment available to increase your cash flow." And so they were definitely trying to position that. It wasn't the right thing for me and my family, but it was definitely an option at that time.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people that may be entering the market now, they hear things and they remember that 2008, 2007, 2008 timeframe, and they hear that a lot of what caused the problem was adjustable rate mortgages that began to adjust. Now, it's interesting because the adjustables that we're going to talk about today are not those same sorts of adjustables. So that's part of what we want to do, is make sure that everybody understands all the different options when it comes to an adjustable rate mortgage. So if you've got something in your mind that says, hey, you know what, I'm never going to be a candidate for an adjustable rate mortgage because it was responsible for the last drop in house values or whatever it may be, we're here to clear a little bit of that up, make sure that you know the facts. So Carl's adjustable rate mortgages he was talking about were popularly known as 228s or 327s. I happen to know because I remember that time very, very well. And so those mortgages were really almost a little bit more like a teaser rate type of situation, where the first adjustment periods were going to be elevated. And so that is more like a situation where if you were to consider something with an introductory rate. Whereas the adjustments in that short period of time, if it was a 228, right after that first couple of years, those things started to adjust, property values had started to come down, and it just created a big mess. Whereas the adjustables we're going to talk about on today's show are not so much introductory rate or teaser rate type situations. They're more the tried and true regular adjustable rate mortgages that buyers have used. A certain percentage of buyers have used for the entire time I've been in the business, for over 25 years. And now they're making a little bit of a comeback, and I want people to understand them. So let's talk about, first of all, what is an adjustable rate mortgage? So when I say to you, Carl, what is an adjustable rate mortgage? What does that say to you?
It tells me that rate is going to change over a period of time,
as opposed to a fixed
traditional 30-year mortgage, where it's once you get that rate, it's locked in, it never changes.
Gotcha. So that is exactly right. The adjustable rate mortgage. Now, the adjustable rate mortgages that we offer have different periods of fixed interest in the beginning. And again, not the same as a 228 in the sense that the caps, the adjustments, all of those features are different than they were back then. We're talking about a period of fixed interest in the beginning that is typically going to be a little bit lower than the current market rate. Now, if you were to get a fixed loan today in the market we're in and you paid 6.8 or 7 for a regular fixed conventional 30-year mortgage, the adjustable rate mortgages are going to be a little bit less than that, not a whole lot less, because no one in the market believes that you're going to keep either a fixed rate mortgage or an adjustable rate mortgage for very long, as most experts believe the rates will start to come down as soon as inflation starts to come down. So let's talk about a couple of the advantages potentially of those different periods. You can have an adjustable that's got a 1 year adjustable period or a 1 year fixed period, and then it adjusts every year. You have adjustables that have 3 year, 5 year, 7 year, and 10 year initial fixed periods. So Carl, what do you think some of the advantages and disadvantages would be of selecting that particular length of time for it to be fixed initially?
Well, part of it's going to be thinking through what do I think rates are going to be at after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Along with that is how long am I going to be in the home that I'm getting ready to purchase? Because that's going to completely play into getting that little bit of a better rate, because you only plan on being there for 5 to 7 years anyway, so you might as well grab the lower rate.
Yeah, so the amount of time that the mortgage is fixed in the initial period, it also plays into the pricing. So for example, if you do an adjustable rate mortgage and you have an initial 10-year fixed period, do you think that interest rate, Carl, would be a little higher or a little lower than the 3-year fixed period?
It would be a little higher.
That's a good question. Yes. So basically, the longer you have that initial fixed period, then the rate goes up a little bit more. Well, why do you think that would be?
So you're convincing somebody
But
to
why
lend.
did you have that as your answer?
So because you're convincing somebody to loan you a lot of money,
Smart.
and they still need to make their money on lending that to you, and so they have to manage the risk that they're going to incur.
Exactly. So what they're saying is hey, if you're going to have me lock my money up at this rate for 10 years, as opposed to 30, you're going to get it a little bit cheaper because I only have to extend it to you for 10. But if you only get it locked in for 3, I'll give you a little bit better of a deal and give you a little cheaper money, because you and I are taking some risks together. We're taking the risk that the market's going to be better in 3 years. We're taking that risk together. So we're going to give it to you a little bit cheaper. Okay, so when you are looking at different options right now, if you say to yourself, I sold my home, I moved to Tennessee, I've been there for a couple of years, and now it's time for me to get back into the market, but I really think rates are going to start to come back down. I just can't wait until next summer because I need to get the kids in school in August, right? That kind of thinking. So in that situation, what adjustable strategy would you potentially employ if you were looking and saying, you know what, I'm going to buy something this summer, and then I want to get in, pay as little as I can, and then I believe rates are going to come down by the next summer? What would you suggest somebody look at?
So definitely the shorter term in that fixed rate period, and knowing that that's going to give you the biggest gap, biggest savings in your interest rate.
Yeah, absolutely. So during that period of time that you think rates are going to stay elevated, that's the time that you've got to pay the least amount in interest. So those adjustables are good on Fannie Mae products, conventional products, FHA products. There are different product types that allow for adjustables, and some have limited product offerings when it comes to adjustables. So for example, I'm not aware of a THDA adjustable, for example. There may be. I need to find that out. Real Estate 101. Somebody get an expert in here. Find an expert. Sure. But always check with your lender and understand that all situations are unique and underwriting conditions apply. But for most of you out there, you'll be able to get an adjustable rate. So that's going to be one type of adjustable. There is another type of adjustable, or another way to pay a little bit less in interest and a little bit less in interest over the next couple of years, and that would be with a 2-1 buy down. And a 2-1 buy down is not actually an adjustable rate, but it is a strategy that we see people employ right now to be able to take some sting out of the higher interest rates. So in a 2-1 buy down scenario, Carl, what is really happening when you look at a 2-1 buy down as opposed to an adjustable rate mortgage?
So with the 2-1 buy down, you're going to have still that rate that's going to essentially be fixed, but what's happening is you're paying the interest up front earlier. And so the lender's still getting their interest. They're just getting it in a lump sum in year 1 and in year 2.
Yeah, so you're prepaying some interest. And so oftentimes in this market, you can get seller concessions as a potential inducement to go ahead and make a contract and offer on that property. Steve, are you finding that the sellers are willing to work a little bit on closing costs and that kind of stuff in today's market?
Yeah.
So what Steve would do is if he was negotiating a contract for you and you said, you know what, Steve, we really like that house at 400,000, but the payment is just a little bit more than what we can afford right now, and we need to get a lower payment. What would you suggest? Well, if an adjustable rate mortgage is not really an option for you or something that you're not comfortable with, then the 2-1 buy down becomes a strategy. So what Steve would do is he would go to the seller, he would negotiate hard on your behalf, he would get some concessions from the seller to go towards that prepaid or that interest paid in advance. And in that scenario, he, instead of getting closing costs paid for you, gets that subsidy created by the seller, and it helps reduce the interest rate for year 1 and year 2. So that's another strategy not involving a classic ARM where we can get that payment down lower for you to begin with. So in that scenario, what you're saying is, I'm not really sure where the market's going to go. I don't know if it's going to go higher. I don't know if it's going to go lower. I just know that where it is right now is too much for me. So we're going to start a couple of points below and get started year 1 and then go to year 2. The other type of adjustable that's out there that's not offered by as many outlets, but we do have access to it, is a HELOC in first lien position. So are you familiar with HELOCs very much, Carl?
I've never incorporated them myself, but I have multiple family and friends who use them.
Okay, so one of the things about a HELOC is an interest-only product. It is adjustable, and so it's classically used in second lien position. So it'd be a situation where you've got a $100,000 first mortgage, your property's worth $300,000, you need to pay tuition for someone to go to college, buy a car, whatever the case may be. You go and borrow money in second lien position or as a HELOC or home equity line of credit, and it's adjustable. Now, why does that become important, even in a rising interest rate environment? Well, the reason that becomes important, and the reason you may want to have that as part of your mix to take some sting out of the higher rates, is that yes, the rate will be the same, but you're paying interest only, and as you pay that mortgage down, your interest expense reduces also because you're only paying interest on the amount that's drawn. So if you have a $100,000 HELOC, then you make your regular interest payments. If you pay an extra $500, then you now are only going to pay interest on $99,500 the next month. So it really accelerates the pay down, and overall you'll pay less interest, even if rates start to rise. Because how much money would be due if I loaned you $1 at 10% for a year and you paid it back? You pay me back $1 and a dime, right? So if I loaned you a quarter at 12% and you paid that back over the course of the year, then you're going to pay back a higher rate but less overall. Mm-hmm. And that's the power of having the HELOC. As you pay it down, you're only paying interest on the outstanding amount. You pay the same amount of money back, but you pay the least amount of interest. Okay, so those are some strategies that we can employ to try to get your rate down. One last thing I would say that you can do is, and I want to address at this point the group of individuals and families out there that have a home currently and need to move. So all of those same strategies are available to you as a homeowner, but one of the concepts that I want people to understand is the market, it gives and it takes, right? Sometimes it'll give you super low rates, and sometimes it'll give you a little bit of a higher rate. So the concept to keep in mind is to understand that you are going to sometimes be the beneficiary of the market, and at other times it's going to feel like it goes the other way. So if you're sitting here and you've got a house and you bought in 2019 or 2018, 17, any time before the pandemic, the market gave you a gift. the market said, you know what, we're going to give you a super low interest rate that you can refinance into. We're going to give you a tremendous amount of equity gain. You know, I mean, how many of you out there had a house that went up by 50 or 75% in value? You didn't add a room, you didn't put in a pool, you didn't do a new kitchen, you didn't do any of those things. The market gave you that gift of equity. So now you're in a situation where it's like, okay, I need to move, but I am so in love with my interest rate, right? Valid, I get it. It's really hard to look at a mortgage statement with a 3.5 and look at one with a 7 and feel the same about it. So what I would tell you is never make a buying decision or never make a move or never consider something like this just simply based on market conditions. But if you have to move, the goal then becomes to make it the least expensive possible. So if you're looking at having to sell and buy, then what I would submit to you is if you look at a 2-1 buy down, you look at an adjustable, you look at any of these other ways to kind of chip down the interest expense that you pay. One of the other things that I would consider is when the market ran up, you were given a gift of equity. So now you've received this gift of equity, but you're going into a market where the rates are going to be a little bit higher. So you can take some of that equity that the market gave over the last couple of years and use it to lessen the burden of higher interest rates now. So again, like I said, it's not one of those where you're going to make a buying decision like, oh, hey, interest rates are up and I earn more in my house, so now I'm going to move across town and pay more for my mortgage. I mean, nobody would do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you understand that the market is taking back a little bit right now, but you can take some of the gift that you were given and employ some of these strategies to chip down your monthly costs until we can all weather the storm and wait for rates to come back down. So those are a few of the strategies. Carl, anything else you'd like to add to our Real Estate 101 this afternoon?
So I know Shannon went over a lot of information, and so it's really important to make sure that you fully understand what's taking place. You have a trusted mortgage professional that's going to help you walk through that and stay along with you along the journey, because it should be more than just that one deal and closing. But hey, 6 months down the road, how are things going? Any questions with what's been happening? So make sure you get connected with somebody. We would love to be that for you, but make sure you get that trusted mortgage officer.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic advice. Okay, Carl, tell everybody how to find you.
You can find me by going online to Shannon Wheeler Mortgage Team or to Premier Mortgage Group. We'd love to have you. My phone number, cell phone, is 586-945-5447. Feel free to text or call me there. I'd love to help you out and be looking forward to working with you.
All right. Hit us with all your questions that you may have. You can find us at you can go to the Shannon Wheeler Mortgage Team on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, online. My name's Shannon Wheeler. My number is 615-417-6640. I want to thank Good Time Tommy for getting us the opportunity to host Real Estate 101 on Wednesday afternoon. And so, again, all situations are unique. Underwriting conditions apply. But if you are in a situation where you are looking to move, you need to move, you want to take advantage of something in the market, or your family has got a need, it's not a matter of moving because of the pricing. It's a matter of, I have to move. Now, how can I make it work the best for me? Y'all have a great rest of the week. Don't forget to call Steve Zavisa if you need some help with your real estate.